Hey, Melo. Overarching view of the.
Mike, you're breaking up really bad.
You can't hear me?
Now we can hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now?
We're going to come back to you, Mike.
Sorry about that.
Let's go to Dan.
Hey, Melo. You've seen some stuff in your career. I'm curious where the daily superstar X is in the protocols and not going to play for 10 days kind of ranks in terms of surrealness. Can you even keep up with it? Or is it something like, I don't know. I guess just like, what's it like as a player playing in a league where everywhere around you this virus exists?
Yeah, well, I mean, whether it's a superstar or anybody, it's the unpredictable, right? You just don't know. This is what we're dealing with. It's bigger than basketball. It's bigger than that. It's something that we can't control. We can try to control it. We can try to do what we do to stay safe and stay healthy and stick to the script as far as, wearing your mask and hand sanitizer and taking care of your bodies. And you just can't predict what's going to happen. And I think that's the part that's, I don't want to say confusing, but that's the part that is just up in the air. It's the unknown. And when you have an unknown with something like this virus, what we're dealing with, you just never know what's going to happen day to day.
To follow up on that really quickly, you guys have a game on Christmas, one of the most anticipated games on the schedule. What's your confidence that game's going to get played? I mean, talking about things being up in the air.
Yeah, well, we play tomorrow, so it's like again, it's like you just taking it and living day to day. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we could wake up tomorrow morning and they could say our game tomorrow is canceled, and you just don't. Again, we don't know what's going to happen, so we taking it day to day, and we're trying to stay on top of what we need to stay on top of. But as we can see, it's affecting everybody. It's affecting a lot of different people. People who are vaccinated, people who do have boosters. So you just don't know what's going to happen, who it's going to affect, how it's going to affect somebody. The amount of time you will be out due to your health and what you're feeling, the symptoms. And then on the other hand, some people don't have no symptoms. So it's just, you don't know what to do right now. And I think that's the frustrating part for everybody.
Dave?
Melo, a little unrelated to the COVID stuff going on, but LeBron posted something on IG the other day with one of his sons and your son playing in the driveway. And I wonder if, obviously this is a basketball job that you perform with. That's why you're on the Lakers. And we talk about the scores of the games, the wins and losses and all that. But is there anything about the lifestyle of it and the fact that you get to be in the city with a guy you've been friends with for close to 20 years, and now your guys' kids are getting to become friends themselves, that has made it so that you recognize how valuable this opportunity is, and it gives you more fuel to bring energy to working things out on the court?
Yeah, I think the court, just to separate the two, the court would take care of itself. I'm not concerned about that. The court would take care of itself. That's on us as players to make that work and figure that out. So I'm not concerned about that. The lifestyle part of that, and having our kids here, having my son here, and being able for him to be able to have friends here and people that he can talk to, and it's not like he just met those guys or those kids. I mean, these are, I was there when. I was around when Bronny was first born and when Bryce was born and he was around when Cayenne was born. So it's like, it's deeper than basketball. It's bigger than basketball. So, my son is still on the East Coast. He's still in New York. So when he comes out here, for him to have that comfortability with being able to go over and spend time with, with kids that he's familiar with, households that he's familiar with, people that he's familiar with. That's always a great thing. And it's about them. It's not about in a sense, it's about us, but it's not about us anymore. And then 5 years, 7 years, 10 years after we're done playing basketball, it's going to be about them. It's not going to be about us. So that's something that we're trying to, instill in them. And this new generation is totally different than our generation. I think they're a little bit more advanced. They're smarter. They're wiser. They're more individualistic. They like to do things on their own. They can text and call each other without us even knowing, and they setting up dates and meetings. And so these are things that I love to see, and I just love to see, the kids and the boys just come together and just be able to have some fun.
Appreciate it.
Alan Sleewa?
Hey, Carmelo. Hey, just curious to get your thoughts on this. Because it's a long season, it's a long grind, only 32 games in. But I'm just curious, with 50 games left, kind of the ups and the downs, guys in the lineup, guys not in the lineup, how do you guys address what's happening today, but also keeping big picture in mind? I'm just curious, so many vets on this team, how you guys balance that, trying to win today, but also thinking big picture.
Yeah, I think it's hard when you're in it, when you're in the middle of it, and you're in the heartbeat of it. It's hard to look at anything different. But I think the luxury of having the guys that we have on this team, we understand the big picture, and we understand where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. But we can't skip these steps. We can't skip, this journey and these experiences, because these little steps is what's going to get us to the big picture if that's our goal. So it's at times it gets challenging, because you want to do it right. You want to do everything right. You want to win games that we're supposed to win. So, you start putting that pressure on yourself mentally, emotionally, you start putting that on yourself. But on the flip side of that, when you really look at it and put it in perspective, we're here for the bigger goal, and we're here for the bigger picture. So this is all part of that journey that we expected. I mean, some of us expected this. Some of us knew it was going to go like this. And we just got to be ready, man. We got to be prepared, prepare ourselves. When you just said Christmas, and we still in December, and it's like, I don't think people want to hear that as far as, we still got a lot of season to go, but we just finished basically a month and a half, 2 months of a season. We're dealing with COVID. We're not, we're dealing with the virus. We're dealing with injuries. We're dealing with people in and out the lineups, people coming back. Head coaches out. Like, it's just, you just don't know what's going to happen. So you got to take it day to day. But overall, our goal is the big picture, and that's never going to change.
Bill?
Hey, Melo, just on the topic of the outbreak and the virus, has this set of circumstances led to conversations among players, in conversations that you've had about the booster and whether guys should be getting boosted, if this might lead certain players to get boosted who might not have previously?
No, I think that's more from a to each his own kind of situation. That's a very individual situation. People have their own take on it. People have their own, their own stand on it, their own beliefs. Whether they with it, whether they for it or against it, that's up to each individual. That's not something that we discuss all the time amongst us as players. We have people in place to give us that information, to give us the information that we need, to give us the right information, for us to make decisions that we need to make, whether we're going to do it or not. That's to each his own. But we just want to be right and exact with what we're getting, the information that we're getting, which is a lot of information right now. Coming our way as players, I'm sure as you guys, as reporters too, it's a lot of information. So we have to just, kind of take the information and make your own decision based off of who you are, what you believe in, and go from there.
Okay, last three questions will go Kyle and BT, and then we'll end with Davide.
Hey, Melo. Sort of two parts here. One, you had a play yesterday where you had a seal in the paint of Landry, Shamet, and creating this lane for IT, and you were very physical, kind of moving them over. Wondering, first part, sort of, you've always been a physical player, but when has sort of the physicality off ball, being the setup guy rather than maybe the scorer on a play, become more important for you? And then two, when you're ejected last night on your second tech, LeBron was saying you have a point, but you had a point in your argument to the refs, but are you feeling more sort of the weight of how much kind of hinges on your presence on the court and how much the team's depth is hurt when you're out, when the roster is like it is?
I'll answer the first question first. Like you said, I've always been a very physical player, offensively, defensively. That's just what I know how to do, how I learn how to play the game, and is I've been able to utilize it, to my advantage. Here is different, being able to utilize that physicality in other ways of the game, other aspects, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for somebody else. I think that's part of the adaptation for me on this team and having a different role and not being aggressive to get something for myself or being aggressive to get something from somebody else. That's just me being able to adapt and playing a role that this team needs. As far as the ejection, it happened. I don't really know what to say to that. I know how important, I will say I know how important my presence is out there on the court. Was I trying to control it at that point? No, I wasn't trying to control it at that point. It was hard for me to control it at that point. So many things had led up to that point. So it wasn't just about that. So many things had led up to that point. But again, it's no excuses. It happened. I take it on the chin. The only thing I feel like I let my team down just being ejected. That's not something that I do, get ejected and put my team in situations like that. But it happens, man. It happens. Maybe we need that, that type of fire, that type of, somebody to spaz out or somebody hard foul. And we need that type of energy. I missed that game. I missed the game where, you can hard foul and pick somebody up and say, okay, I took the foul, or, the dialogue between, myself and the ref. Some refs allow you to have that dialogue and some not. So you gotta be cautious of that. But to put my team in that situation, that's the only thing that I would take from that.
BT?
What's up, Melo?
What up, B?
The small lineup with you and LeBron in it. What's the strength of it and what's the weakness of it?
Well, the strength of it is, we can switch everything. We're active. We're active out there. We force other teams to get their big men off the court. We have the ability to space the court, mismatches. The way that we're able to think the game out there on the court when we're out there together. But on a flip side of that, sometimes we get caught into the action on the ball or away from the ball, and offensive rebounds for other teams, and we might be really small out there at times with me and LeBron out there at the 4 or 5 with 3 other guards. So that's we put a lot of onus on the other 3 guys and other guards to come back and rebound. 50-50 basketballs, loose basketballs, the hustle game. Those are things that I think teams will see or teams see and just like, okay, let's try to attack. Let's try to attack it from that point. Keep them in the pick and roll. Keep them on the ball. So the backside is a smaller guard, having to box out and rebound on the defensive end. So those are just some of the things that I would say that's maybe a disadvantage.
Last question, Davide?
Hi, Melo. Davide from Italy here.
Hey, Davide.
The Staples Center is changing name on Christmas Day. I'm curious about your best memory of playing at Staples Center.
Wow. Remember playing on Halloween. We had the orange jerseys out. I think I was in New York at that time. I think that was the first time that they they kind of darkened the seats in the stands. So the court was just highlighted. It felt like you was just on an actual stage in the theater, and it was just you was just lit up. And that was something that I was used to in New York, but to see it in LA, that was different. Western Conference Finals, here playing against Kobe and those guys. But I think every time I came to play in LA, it was an experience. It was a moment. Understanding what we was up against, understanding coming into Staples, playing against the Lakers, playing against champions, that's always going to be an experience every time you come in here.
All right, thanks everyone.